Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
But we are joined for the next hour and 20 minutes or so by Professor of Space and Aeronautics and Military Science, Texe Marrs. He was an officer in the Air Force. He's had a whole bunch of best-selling books, not just on the New World Order and global government, but he's written the books that are only one gets chosen a year. The official book on how to pass the armed services military exam and all sorts of scholarly stuff. He's really a scholar, and we've been having him on quite a bit lately. We're really honored to have him in studio with us, and we're blessed to have him and his wife Wanda Marrs and their great staff over at Power of Prophecy here in Austin, Texas, really serving the world with some of the best and most hard-hitting information out there available. We had him on twice in the last month about mysterious monuments. For the PrisonPlanet.tv viewers, I showed you some of the pages here on air. He's got some more today. We'll be showing folks here on the document cam. But because so much has happened today, and because Texas made films about this and written books about this from the source documents, I wanted to first thank Texe for being here, but then get his response to Barack Obama coming out in a speech saying million-plus youth brigade armed, and it's spying on the American people. They even said it. Now, we know they've been setting it up, and we know Obama didn't invent this. He's just the front. And then they've announced in Chicago they're going to use the National Guard for gun confiscation. And all over they have this knock and talk where police are trying to come to people's houses from Boston to Dallas to Tucson to L.A. Under federal grants, and they're taking blood at warrantless checkpoints now all over the country. And so they are really trying to get in our comfort zones, and I wanted to get Texe Marrs' take on that. Texe, it's a real honor to have you here.
Hey, Alex, great to be with you again. And it really is a momentous time. This scheme by Barack Obama is not new. And as you mentioned earlier on your program, we go back to the Soviet era when they had the Soviet communist youth. Also, remember the incredible brigades of red youth during the days of Mao Zedong. And Hillary Rodham Clinton, of all things, proposed a great youth corps for America. So I believe that Barack is simply following in this socialist, communist line that we've seen really the last century. And they believe that if they can capture one entire generation, the youth, and if they can convert that youth into their way of thinking, into the, as Gorbachev called it, perestroika, that will mean a total victory for them. And I believe that's true. Now, the interesting thing is, we were at Brave New Books just last week, and guess what? Much of the crowd there that's interested in exposing this, that are angry, are the youth. I think we have an incredible tide here of young people who are waking up. Now, some of the old people, unfortunately, I'm a little older, and I'm a little embarrassed, maybe of my generation, because the youth of America are beginning to say, hey, wait just a minute. This is an age of barbarism, and we're not going to take this anymore. And I think the youth understand the sacrifices made by Americans in generations past. And they're saying, we're not going to forfeit what great generations before us did. We're not going to forfeit those freedoms. So, but again, Barack Obama, John McCain, it doesn't matter. This is a very false dichotomy, this left-right spectrum. And I want people to understand something. People out there who are listening to us who may consider themselves as on the left side, okay, of center, they may believe that, well, if we get somebody like Barack Obama who says he's for change, everything will be okay. I'm afraid that some people will go to sleep because they believe that, hey, we're leftists, now we've got a leftist like us. But really, do they have a leftist like them?
Well, the It was the same thing with Bush. Everybody thought it was going to be wonderful.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and conservatives all went to sleep. But if you look, it is the exact policies, just different rhetoric, continuing. And there's this huge foundation for youth brigades. Bush took Clinton's AmeriCorps and set up Secure Corps with the youth, 6th, 7th, and 8th grade with M16s, training for gun confiscation. That was in major newspapers. Philadelphia Daily News was one. So this is all going on behind the scenes very quietly, but exactly, we have to shatter that left-right paradigm because they keep fooling us by changing horses. But I think, as you said earlier, one of the big things is they're afraid now because one of the things that Jim Tucker got out of the Trilateral Commission meeting a few months ago in D.C., and he had moles and got their minutes out. You know, he has all those sources, being in D.C. as a reporter now for 50 years, and he's always proven to have accurate info. They weren't worried about Ron Paul for president. They said he's got the youth. They're not getting into the communist groups or the right-wing groups, the fake right-wing groups. They are really getting into liberty, and they're talking about the Federal Reserve, and they are scared. And they're scared for a good reason, because if we had more time, I know we could win this. The problem is the enemy sees we're coming at them, and so they're moving quick. But please continue, Texe.
Well, with a economic catastrophe on the horizon. Remember, during the Great Depression, Roosevelt began his Civilian Conservation Corps, and much of that was youth. Now, I believe this is what is going to take place. If Barack Obama is president, I believe he will be, unless some 9/11 event catapults John McCain into office. What we will see is this will be proposed to be one of the solutions for these millions of American youth who can't find a job, who have no future, who are out there driftless,
and by the way,
because of economic
you've been saying
calamity.
this for 15 years. You didn't just say this.
Of course. And so this will be the perfect thing for Obama to say, hey, youth of America, now I'm going to give you a purpose. I'm going to give you a goal. We're going to train you, indoctrinate you. You're going to be our youth corps, our homeland security.
And it just so happens that $1 trillion platform has already been built over the last 20 years for him. But overnight, he's got the idea and got all these bigwigs behind him in the Chicago Tribune saying this is, and they don't say, oh, its mission will be helping people and some security. They say that there will be spies, armed spies. Texe, go ahead.
Well, they believe a generation that's been built, conditioned on video games like Grand Theft Auto and such, and barbaric movies, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and all of these, they believe these people will be fit to run their gulag concentration camps that Halliburton and KBR have built systematically over the last 10 years or so. So we have a generation. Now, what we have to do is continue to educate people, inform people, and really rattle some cages. Hey, Alex, I want to tell you something. This is just maybe symbolic, but it shows you the power of the Alex Jones Show. You remember last week when we were on, we talked about these North American Union pyramids in West Virginia. Now, remember, one of the things I'd like us to talk about today is the fact that the Illuminists, in building this architecture around the world, this architectural colossus, are signaling future events. Now, we have in 2005 in Waco, Texas, the president of Mexico, Vicente Fox, Morton, the prime minister of Canada, and Bush agreeing to this pact, this North American Union, by 2010. Okay? This was in 2005. But wait, in 1995, in West Virginia, where the two senators of that state, by the way, are a Rockefeller, J. Rockefeller, and Byrd, a 33rd degree Mason, they erected 3 pyramids. And they used U.S. taxpayer and West Virginia taxpayer money. And these 3 pyramids are symbolic. They are magical. They are ritual. And I believe they conducted rituals in those at their inauguration.
Well, we know it was laid down by Masons, so they do a ritual, a cornerstone ritual.
Now, they placed 3 flags in front of them that existed to this day. Now, here's a photo of that. I know your TV people can see it, but those on radio, I want you to understand, here are 3 pyramids and the 3 flagpoles flying the Mexican, the Canadian, and the American flag in Princeton, West Virginia. Okay? Now, this is interesting. We went on your program, we exposed this. This was the first time this had ever been exposed. Remember, this presaged, this was a precursor to the North American Union Pact. Well, guess what? A good friend of my ministry sent me a new picture. And because of the incredible commotion that your show caused, they have temporarily brought down the Mexican and Canadian flags, and the only one that exists right now is the U.S. But
this is a brand new photo.
Yeah, this is a brand new photo.
Same place. We just showed people all three of the flags. Now, again, they can only do this stuff in the dark. They can only do this if we don't expose it.
One person wrote me an email. He said, Tex, what I did was, after I heard you with Alex Jones, I went to that place, and to my shock, it was true. There were the three flags flying. He said, I just got out of my car, I parked it, and I hoisted the two down, Mexican. And he said, I didn't want to damage any property. I didn't want to get in any trouble.
Good, I love it. That's like Sons of Liberty. We're starting to get aggressive.
He said, and I folded them up very neatly and just set them down there on the sidewalk and left.